Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video we're going to be talking about BrutalDLX Legends Challenge and why I believe it misses the mark. It is by far, in my opinion, the weakest part of Legends Celebration, and I want to use this video to give, well, hopefully some constructive feedback, because there are a ton of issues that do not, well, seem reasonable or needed in these challenges. And number one, I do want to again make sure that everybody understands that overall, I do think that this year's Legends Celebration event is by far the best one that we have had. I also want to point out that fights themselves in the challenge, I kind of like them. If anything, I would have preferred them to be slightly harder, because there is such thing as setting expectations. And when you talk about BrutalDLX challenge tuned to test even the most skilled summoners and stuff like that, it wasn't. It's really type of thing that you can do, itemless and relatively straightforward or with minimal items. It is not a challenge that's tuned to test the most skilled summoners. And here's the thing, I completely understand that there will be people who will say that I find this challenging, or that people will say I think the difficulty is fine and stuff like that, and that's okay, but this is definitely not the case when the best players, as mentioned by Kabam, find this challenging. It is definitely not. It's long. The only challenging part about it is to find the time to clear all the unnecessary fights in it. That's a thing. And there is such a thing as building up expectation and then not justifying it. And whenever Kabam releases a text like, this quest, this challenge, this new thing is built to tune even the most skilled summoners, there are two expectations that are coming with it. Number one, it's going to be hard, probably require some revives, probably require some mild swearing on streams and, resources and strategizing and some sweaty try-hard attitude to push through. And number two, it's going to come with good rewards. These expectations were not met in either one of the categories, especially when you compare the rewards that you get from a BrutalDLX challenge to what you get from calendar, basically. So we can take a look here. And I think we can all agree that the idea is that a big, challenging quest content should, in fact, have better rewards than anybody can get for free just logging in, not doing any effort. The idea that, if you are logging in and playing a hard challenge quest, that hard challenge quest should have more meaningful rewards than you just get for logging in and, let's say, being Paragon. So we can see that it has 2 tier 6 basics, 2 tier 3 alphas, 5,000 7-star hero crystal shards, yes, 5,000 titan shards, but for most players it doesn't really mean anything right now, because vast majority of the players are not even close to opening titan crystal, and 15% tier 6 CC. 2 paragon crystals. Alright, so now we can take a look at the calendar, and we have 1.5 tier 6 basics, 1.5 tier 3 alphas, so slightly less, 4,500 7-star shards, slightly less, but we have 3 paragon crystals, we have 20 6-star signature stones, 15,000 6-star shards. That's pretty much the same. Tiny bit less. So whilst the calendar is definitely exceeding expectations, and it's probably the best login calendar we have had, the rewards here just do not make sense. And the hope was that there are rewards hidden in these individual chapter completion rewards, as in like the quest completion, chapter completion rewards, stuff that we couldn't see. And there wasn't. There just wasn't. Like 60 units and 250k gold for this quest. And for the lower ones, there are some rewards in there, but again, they're not the exciting kind. So I think that is the first part where this misses the quest. It just is not rewarding enough and difficult enough based on how it was built up and perceived and, talked about. So that's number one. Number two, we definitely need to address the entire quest design. The entire quest design is a definition of a redundant, and this is the worst designed challenge that we have had so far. Because previously, at least it kind of made sense, where we had these easier quests for like Dylan Mulvaney challenge and stuff like that you could kind of breeze through. And then you had this like big one where you need to go and do all in one go. This time around, even when you look at the fight difficulty levels, and we're going to open this Paragon. So this is Chapter 1, quest number 6. We can see that Hulk's PI is 104,400, and the Winter Soldier PIs range from 56k to 68k. And then if you take a look at the Chapter 2 quest, yes, the difference is that you need to do the Chapter 2 quest in one go. Obviously, that does make it harder. But it's exactly the same PI, except the Hulk boss is slightly stronger. The actual fights for Winter Soldiers and Juggernauts and Visions and Scarlet Witches and Wolverines, it's exactly the same PI. So you quite literally end up playing the same quest time over time again, and at the end, the difficulty level doesn't even increase when you do the hardest challenging level. Opponents are as strong as they were in Chapter 1, Quest 6. And that entire point as well, that these lower difficulty quests didn't have to be all filled with, the 30 fights. Because in total, to do this thing, it's 217 fights? Because it's like 30 fights in each quest plus the one boss fight. So it's 31 times 7, basically. So it's 217 fights. There's just absolutely no need for that. The end result is that it just feels tedious. It feels like something you have to grind. And the worst part about it is, I can kind of understand the thought here that, if you're uncollected, then you can do the quests up until uncollected and get the rewards for that. But especially for the higher difficulty levels, you don't even get completion or like exploration rewards until you start doing these weaker quests. You kind of, by definition, have to go in there and complete them to get the meaningful rewards. It would be one thing, it would be like an optional thing, kind of currently like we have with monthly event quest, where you can do Thronebreaker EQ and get the rewards. And if you have time and desire, you can do Cab EQ, you can do lower EQs. But here, they are forcing you to do all of this mindless kind of grinding through something that was advertised and meant to be testing, even the more skilled summoners. So it didn't test you properly if you are a super skilled summoner at its hardest, but then it kind of forces you to go back and just tediously grind through. And that does nothing but makes this quest seem even worse, even as bigger failure. Additionally, I'm not gonna complain too much about the format or the graphics, but it's also like the most straightforward way. Previously, at least, they made the maps somewhat interesting. There was some sort of design. Now we have just it just really seems like a unrefined idea. And again, to be clear, I do not want to put any of this on BrutalDLX because I doubt that he designed the format. I think that he probably had input in choosing the champions and putting together the fights, which again I liked. Kind of wish they were slightly harder. I think that the biggest case is in all of these fights, there was some node that significantly improved your damage output. And I think the quest would be more challenging without them. Probably. I kind of understand the design, and again, the fights themselves are fine. They're fun. Doing them 50 times is not fun. And it just, it kind of felt off compared to every single previous challenge mode or challenge celebrity event or whatever. This just felt like the poorest thought process has went into it, because every single time before that, they kind of made sense. Like you can teleport, and then for that you need to do them all in one go, and this is how you earn rewards. This just seemed like, again, the laziest approach, where you have to do it all. And there's like this Chapter 2 quest where you need to do it in one go. Okay, fair enough. But then they make exact copy of this Chapter 2 quest and put it in Chapter 1. where you can do it path by path, should you choose to. And again, then you need to kill and destroy all of these poor champions, like dozens of times. Because if we need to destroy, how many parts we have? So we have like 6, right? So we have 6 parts. So in each quest, we need, let's say, beat Vision 6 times. And then there are 7 quests. It means that every single champion has to be beaten like 42 times. Like, it doesn't quite seem right. Like, yeah, 42 visions you had to destroy in order to explore this thing. Surely that can't be one of those things. And I do remember, again, in the previous celebrity challenges where there's absolutely nothing stopping in making this quest shorter. This doesn't have to be, 6 parts. It can be 1, 2 parts initially, and then they kind of increase it later just to make it, less tedious. There would be absolutely nothing wrong in, eliminating 4 parts or first 5 parts. And the initial one, just have the 5 fights and the boss. And then the second one, have, 12 fights and the boss. And then have 15 fights and the boss. Something like that. So it actually feels like there's some change, some progression. And it would drastically cut down the, time that's required to grind through this alleged, Legends quest. It genuinely just did not feel like that. And again, going back to these, Kabam hype train, I personally wish it was slightly harder, but that's not even the point. That's not even the problem. It's just so poorly made. The difficulty doesn't justify the name and the hype. The rewards don't justify the name and the hype. And yeah, the design just seems basically non-existent. So again, I just want to make this perfectly clear. I by no means think that it's BrutalDLX's fault that Kabam designed the quest this way. Number 1. Number 2, I do think that overall, as a whole, this Legend Celebration is awesome. Calendar has very great stuff in it. 7-hour login crystals, amazing. The 5 and 6 star arenas, they gave us the good versions, the less grindy ones. I love that. And unfortunately, this Legends challenge is, yet again, by far the weakest aspect of this entire event. Again, there are 4 points. There is the login calendar, 7-hour Legends crystals, arenas, and BrutalDLX challenge. And this BrutalDLX challenge doesn't live up to the rest of the stuff. It really doesn't. It feels, again, poorly designed. Not necessarily challenging enough, but even if it was, not rewarding enough. Because that should have been the, the crowning, kind of like most important, the biggest, juiciest aspect of this entire event. As it stands right now, there's a good chance that you're going to get more stuff from your 7-hour Legend crystals alone. You definitely get more stuff if you combine your login crystals with the login calendar. But not even playing the game, just for logging in. You definitely have more rewards in your login rewards than you have in something that's marketed as massive challenge. And I think this kind of, shows where I think Kabam is going wrong with the game. When Kabam sells more stuff than ever, Kabam just, in this case, it's great that free-to-play players have access to it. But I don't think that free-to-play players are like super happy about the fact that the best rewards you get for logging in and not doing anything in the game. Because all of this stuff, again, you just log in and don't do anything, and you get better rewards than doing like this alleged hyped up challenging quest. So I do hope that Kabam keeps doing events like this. I do think this is a great event. I just hope that, Kabam kind of puts that actual most hyped challenge up top, where it actually feels that you earn this stuff. And again, doesn't feel like you're just grinding through some crappy little quest time and time again just so you can collect the rewards that you have already earned. Let me know what you guys think. And I'll catch you guys later. Bye. proceed with hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about